Hello everyone, thank you. My name is Muhammad Fernando Ghifari, and today I will be presenting on a topic that every educator and students encounters at some point: causes of conflict in the classroom. Classroom dynamics are highly complex, and understanding why friction occurs in the first step toward building a better learning experiences. Let's begin. So, moving on to our introduction. Classroom conflict is a very common issue in educational settings. It naturally arises when individuals with different backgrounds, personalities, and expectations interact daily. It is important to realize that conflict is not always a bad thing. However, if it is left unmanaged, it can severely disrupt the learning process. That is why we must examine the root causes, specifically looking at interpersonal, pedagogical, and environmental factors, so we can foster a peaceful and conducive classroom environment. Now, let's talk about the nature of classroom conflict. First, we must accept that conflict is a natural, unavoidable part of human interaction. When managed correctly, minor disagreement can actually help students grow emotionally and develop vital social skills like empathy and active listening. However, conflict crosses the line and becomes a real problem when it starts to actively disrupt teaching or damage the trust and relationships between teachers and students. On this next slide, we focus on interpersonal and emotional factors. In any classroom, individual emotions run high. Personal stressors, misunderstandings, and personality clashes between classmates can easily spark tension. When students lack emotional regulation or communication skills, minor misunderstandings quickly escalate to behavioral issues that affect the entire classroom. Okay, now let's look at the pedagogical triggers. Surprisingly, the teaching process itself can sometimes trigger conflict. When lesson materials are dry or feel completely disconnected from students' real world lives, students quickly lose interest. This disengagement often manifests as disruptive behavior. Additionally, while classroom technology is a wonderful tool, it can also become a major source of friction if students use it as a distraction, creating constant tension between learners and the teacher. Okay, as we can see, physical and social environment play a massive role in the classroom behavior. Overcrowded rooms, poor ventilation, or lacking schools facilities naturally raise students' stress and irritability levels. Socially, classrooms are melting pots of diverse cultural and socio-economic backgrounds. Without careful, empathetic management, these differences can lead to misunderstandings, making the classroom feel less supportive and less inclusive for certain students. Okay, let's look at management and strategies. How we handle a conflict ultimately decides whether it becomes a destructive force or a constructive learning moment. Collaborative approaches like negotiation and meditation are incredibly effective because they prioritize mutual understanding over punishment. As educators, we must establish a safe space where students feel heard and respected. We can achieve this by preparing clear lesson plans, keeping classroom setups flexible, and encouraging active students' participation. Now let's move on to part 2, solving the problem, starting with our first real world scenario. In case 1, we look at Mr. Elazar class, where rowdy, disengaged students gather in the back row. This layout creates a literal disengagement zone. To solve this, we can apply two key factors. First, environmental. Mr. Elazar should modify the physical layout by arranging seats into a U shape or semicircle. This eliminates the front versus back hierarchy and brings everyone into the line of sight. And second, pedagogical. Instead of letting these students slide into passive roles, Mr. Elazar should give them active, structured responsibilities such as appointing them as discussion leaders or timekeepers to channel their energy constructively. Okay, next let's examine case 2, involving Zevano's provocative and sarcastic behavior toward Miss Jaindra. This is a classic interpersonal and emotional conflict where a student seeks peer validation by undermining the teacher's authority. Our purpose solution here is twofold. First, Miss Jaindra must avoid public confrontation. Arguing with Zevano in front of everyone gives him the exact stage and attention he wants. Instead, she should use quiet, nonverbal cues like a firm pause and direct eye contact. To stop the behavior, then smoothly resume teaching. Second, she should apply private meditation after class. Meeting one-on-one allows Ms. Jendra to address the impact of his behavior, listen to his potential underlying issues, and establish boundaries based on mutual respect without an audience present. Okay, in case 3, we address a severe breakdown of the social environment in Miss Yeheskila's class, characterized by constant bickering, teasing, and even cycle shoving. To resolve this, Miss Yeheskila must follow a clear 3-step action plan. Step 1 is immediate crisis intervention. She must step in firmly to stop any physical conflict, separate the students, and restore physical safety. Step 2 is structured negotiation and meditation once emotions have cooled down, guiding the students to voice their grievances without interruption. Finally, step 3 is long-term preventive action. She needs to set a strict zero-tolerance policy for teasing and implement cooperative learning activities that actively teach empathy and respect for diverse backgrounds. Okay, to bring everything together, successful classroom management is not about striving for a classroom with absolutely zero conflict. Conflict is a completely natural part of human connection. Real success lies in our ability as teachers to proactively understand its root causes, whether they are environmental, pedagogical, or interpersonal. By shifting away from public confrontation, rearranging our physical spaces, planning clear lessons, and using structured meditation, we can turn difficult, disruptive moments into valuable lessons for our students' personal and social growth. As shown is our final slide, that concludes my presentation. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope my presentation help you to understand how to manage a class. So that's it, and goodbye.